Hello, my name's Becky Safe. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video, we're going to take a look at browser customization and ways to speed up your workflow in Ableton Live 11. The timestamps are below in the description, so you can skip back and forth to your favorite section. And if you would like to dive deeper into the world of Ableton Live, please feel free to check out my course below in the description as well. My hand cracked. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is come over to collections, and you'll notice when you hover over collections, it says edit. If you click this, you can see that you can show and hide a number of boxes in the collections and in the categories. So at the moment, I have all of my collections visible, but if I wanted to hide a couple of them, I just uncheck them and then press done. And now I only have the ones that I've checked. Edit. And check them again, and now they are present in the collections list. Collections are basically things that you can tag so that you can quickly access them up in the collections area. For me, I have Ableton stock plugins, and these are all the ones that I use regularly. So what you do is you go to, say, for example, audio effects, and if I want to add glue compressor, mastering, make it loud, I click on that, and then I right click, and then I select Ableton stock. And now it has a little red dot next to it. And if I go back into Ableton stock, you'll see that the preset for the glue compressor mastering make it loud is now in Ableton stock. Now, if you want to remove something from this list, you can right click and clear all colors. And now if you come out and then back in, it disappears. So that's how you can add and remove things to a collection. Now, these are the collections that I have named and labeled myself. So if you wanted to name them something else, you just click on it. You can right click and rename, or you can press Control or Command and R. Like anything that you want to rename in Ableton, it's the same shortcut. And now you can name it something else. So you could name it plugins. There. I name it Ableton stock because I have various other things like instruments, which are VSTs, third party. I have samples, which are my favorite samples. You could also add multiples to this, so you don't just have to have them in one folder. You could right click and you could add this to bus processing. And now you'll see that there's two colored dots or colored squares next to pigments. Obviously, I don't want that in the bus processing. You can customize this to however you want. And then when you want to quickly access something that's your favorites, you can just jump in here and you have all of your favorite things that you can access quickly in the collections. Let's go down to the categories. So the same as with the collections, if you hover over, you can see edit. If you click on edit, you can start to add and remove the different things in the categories. Actually, to be honest, I don't really need all of these in here because I hardly ever use any of them. So for example, I'm not going to use clips. I'm not going to use samples, drums, sounds. That's pretty much it. So now I'm freeing up the space in categories where I'm only using the things that I would normally use. Because what's the point in having excess stuff that you don't use in this window? You want to speed up your workflow. So down into the places, and this is anything on your hard drive. Your user library is your library of sounds or banks, presets, templates, anything to do with Ableton, or anything that you've added into this user library folder. So if you right click on the user library, you can click on show in Explorer, and you see now that here's the directory from this PC. C drive uses Becky Documents Ableton user library. So what you could do is, if you have a hard drive of sounds and you want to access them through this user library, as well as all of the other stuff that you have created in Ableton itself, and you want everything in one place, you can just drag and drop and copy into this particular folder. So if I open a new window and I go onto my hard drive, let's just go to the effects. I'm just going to copy this one folder. So if I copy this to my Ableton user library, so now I have this folder for Becky in the user library. It's not appeared in this window yet, but if you come out and come back in, you'll see now that we have for Becky. Now that wasn't created directly in Ableton. That was created on the desktop computer. And if you right click on here, you can also manage this folder within Ableton. So you could do a new folder and we could have new samples. And now if you wanted to add samples to this user library, you can drag and drop that into your new samples. You hit return and it's going to save it as an ALC file, which is an Ableton Live clip. Now, this is native to Ableton, but if you wanted to save your files as WAVs, then you can double click on the file and you can come here to the file name and you'll find where the file is on your directory, and you can drag and drop that file into your folder. And now you have the WAV. Now, if you're going to start editing this and making changes, and you want this file now, so this is a mashup of the file, you want this file to be saved. At the moment, you haven't created a new WAV file. What you need to do is select on all of it, and then you need to press Control or Command and J to consolidate. And now if you double click and you click on the file name, you'll see that we have in our project consolidated file. So we could rename this as new sample. So now we have our new sample. It's a WAV, and we can drag and drop that into our user library. So we're creating new files within Ableton, and this is how you can create your own samples inside of Ableton, consolidate them, and then drag and drop them into your own user library, creating your own bank of samples. All right, so back down into places, and down at the bottom here you have add folder, and again this is sending you to the hard drives of your computer, so you can click on your external hard drive. And if you wanted to add a directory, so I could come to plugin effects, samples effects, clicks and finger snaps and claps and finger snaps. There we go. So now we have this folder and we have all of those particular sounds. So that's how you can quickly access your favorites on your hard drive. You can remove these from the sidebar by right clicking and selecting remove from sidebar. You also have the option to rename like what we did before. Let's just remove that from the sidebar, and then you can just organize it like that. You can drag and drop them so that you can put them in priority order. So I could drag that to the top. When you come to searching for samples in your folders and on the entire catalog of your computer, you could either go into the folder itself, so samples and effects. I could go to show good audio, double click. I could double click here. I could double click here. This is pretty long. It's quite a long and taxing way to search for a sound. Say you already know the sound that you want to get. So I want to get a snare. Let's go for snare loop. So now these are all the folders where there's a snare loop, and I could go ahead and start double clicking and searching through the folders, or this new thing that's appeared in the categories, which is all results. So this doesn't appear. If I click on that, now it's gone. But if I type in snare loop again, you'll see that all results has appeared. And these are all the results from all of the folders. So now you could click on this and you could start to audition through them. I don't actually have the audio set up, so I'm not sure if you can actually hear that. But you get the idea. You can cycle through all the samples on your computer that are tagged with the words snare loop. We've looked at saving samples to the library, but that's not the only thing that we can save to the library. We can save MIDI clips. So here we have a MIDI clip, and if I go to user library and I create a new folder, and it's going to be MIDI clips, which you might want to save. If you want to have your own MIDI chord progressions or your own MIDI melodies that you want to use again and again in different projects, then you create your MIDI clip and then you drag and drop that into a folder. Untitled MIDI clip, it's saved as an ALC file, and I could name this as F minor and then maybe the name of the song. Bush Baby. Cool. So yeah, F minor Bush Baby. And now I can drag and drop this MIDI clip back into the project, and there you go. So you can save MIDI clips. You can also save presets. So here I have an instrument operator. I'm just gonna play around with all the different things and just change it. Okay, it's cool. So it's slightly different to how it originally is on import, and you'll notice at the top here's a little save icon. If you hit on save, it comes into user library and it comes into the presets, and then it finds the instrument and then its operator. And now you can name your preset. So my operator preset. But at the moment, it is saved in instruments presets. If you wanted to move this to your user library to a folder, you'd grab your operator preset and you would drag it up to your brand new folder, and then now this is your own created folder. And again, you could add this to your collections. Right click and add it to your collections. So you're starting to create your own directories within the Ableton file paths in the user library. And one last thing that I think will really help you, it's helped save so much time for me and helped speed up my workflow, is saving a default preset. The main one is EQ8. So I use EQ8 a lot on pretty much every track. You'll notice that when I drag and drop my EQ8 onto the track, it comes in as a high pass filter. Now this is not the default. The default is like this. But obviously, if I'm going to be doing this all the time, like on most of my tracks, I will be doing a high pass filter of some sort because most of them do not have low end content, or I want to shave off the low end content. So I don't want to have my EQ8 coming in and then I have to create the high pass filter, because that is adding time to the creation of my music. And I'm sure you know by now that a fast workflow means that you maintain your interest and it gets your music made faster. There is nothing worse than adding more and more time to the creation process, and after 2 weeks of making music, you hate the track that you're making. So minimize the laborious tasks that you find that you're doing time and time again. So create your EQ8 or whatever instrument or whatever effect that you find that you're making the same every time you import it. Right click on the top and save as default preset. So I'm going to adjust this to here, right click, save as default preset. It's going to overwrite if you've already got something written. I'm going to click yes, delete that, drag and drop, and now it imports as we saved it. That's helped shave off a tiny amount of time, but multiply that by 50 tracks in the project and you'll see how much time that actually shaves off in total. That is your quick fire guide to browser customization and tips to help you speed up your workflow in Ableton Live 11. If you would like to master Ableton Live super quickly with short bite-sized videos, direct and straight to the point, with all the topics that you need to know about in order to make your own music in Ableton, then please check out my course, which is below. My name's Becky Safe. Thank you so much for checking out this video. I appreciate your time and the fact that you've been here. And if you would like to like, comment, and subscribe, then I'm sure you know how to do that. If you're proficient in the internet, you probably know how to do that. So yeah, please, if you would like to, then go ahead. Sold. My name's Becky Safe. Thank you for watching, and I will see you for another video. Bye!